You know, container gardening is a big part of most home landscapes. Whether we're using the traditional containers like the terracotta pots or windowsill gardening or even hanging baskets. But you know, there's a new addition to the container gardening family, and these are referred to as plant pouches. And I have one here that we've just started about, I guess a week and a half ago. And I've used some petunias, and what it is, it's really thick recycled plastic that has a attachment on it where you can hang it, and then it has holes in the front where you put your plants in, and once they start to grow, they'll cover the entire bag. But you can see even in a week and a half, we're starting to get a lot of root growth in here with the petunias, and so that's real encouraging. And I have a couple of pictures here to show you even of some that once they've filled in, you can't even see the basket, using some with impatiens. And this particular one hanging up is a posy pouch is one of the brand names, but again, you can tell that the impatiens will cover the entire planter, and it's real attractive. And the nice thing about it too is you can hang it on flat surfaces like on a mailbox or a flat door or a fence or something, so it's just a little bit different architectural type enhancement for your landscape. Now, they're a little bit challenging to try to put together. Here's another one called Owl's Flower Pouch that's also a little bit different color, a little bit different handle to hang it up. But you'll notice that some of them have perforated holes to start with. Some of the brands that you might purchase may have just markings where you cut your hose yourself, but you can see it's just basically an X or a cross shape that you cut and put the seed in or whatever. And that's one thing that you can do on it. You can lay these flat, fill them with soil, and really stuff them full, and that will kind of hold the opening up, and you can actually plant seed in here like lettuce, other flowers, and once they germinate and get established, then you can hang it up. But what we're putting in are transplants, and what we're going to use is kind of a plant that's just been recently introduced the past year called Scaevola. It's actually from Australia, so that tells us it likes arid, dry conditions, and the flower is a purple flower, and it's kind of faded out now. It will really get a much more spectacular color during the summer, but it almost looks like a half a flower, but it has a little bit of yellow in the center, and it's really attractive and likes the hot Oklahoma conditions. It can be used as a bedding plant or as a hanging basket, which we used it last year. So we're going to put the transplants in here. Now, really, if you could get smaller plants to start with, it would work a little bit better, because if you had smaller foliage, you could actually stick them from the inside out. But ours are a little bit too big to do that, so we're going to stick them through the top. And plugs would work even better, but what I'm going to do in my soil mix here, these are plugs that we've had in the 4-inch pots for about a week and a half too. I'm going to peel away an awful lot of the soil and roots, as you can tell. Enough that I can poke it through that small hole, so it's almost like taking a cutting again. And what you want to do is you want to add soil to each level of holes, and that way we've got soil to this point, and I'm just going to work them in there. And I tell you, as we've been playing with this, we've said if the plants could scream, they'd probably be doing it, because we're really smashing those roots in there. And then again, the soil needs to be up firm, and it's small enough, see, to hold the transplant in there. Now, we're using a well-drained soil mix with perlite in it, peat moss, and you want to have it moist to start with. And we'll cram a little bit more in there to hold the plant in place. And notice, too, that once we get this filled out, we're just going to leave it flat, and we're going to water it in first of all with moist soil, and there are holes in the bottom to allow for drainage, and if there's not any holes, you need to make sure that you put some in. But we're going to lay it flat for just a couple of days for it to kind of settle on us, and then we'll water it, fertilize it, and then we'll hang it upright. And the thing that you need to remember too is anytime you have a loose potting soil like this, it's going to need some supplemental fertilizer, maybe a liquid fertilizer throughout the growing season, depending on how it turns out. So kind of another interesting addition to the landscape. We have a lot of fun with them. We've seen them, like I said, over the past couple of years, so it's a recently new introduction, and it may not be readily available at your garden centers. So this may be the case that you want to try to kind of design or come up with a material to develop your own, or you may have to go to the garden center and encourage them to try to carry these types of things for you to use. Special order them sometimes, but again, I don't think you'll find them readily available, but we're going to be finishing these up, hanging them out at our studio gardens, and if you'd like to come out and see how they're progressing through the summer, we'd sure encourage you to come on out.